Hello my friends, well everybody on Xbox Ones and PlayStation 4s can now join those on Xbox Series S's and X's and PlayStation 5s and PC and play the amazing free-to-play World War II shooter Enlisted, and boy has this game come a long way. So this is PlayStation 4 footage you're seeing now, and I am so impressed by how this game plays on last gen consoles. By the time you come to watch this video, we'll have had the Battlefield 2042 beta, and to be honest, it was a little bit disappointing for me. Felt very sandboxy. You know, I didn't feel like I was in a Battlefield game. I didn't feel like I was in Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4 or even Battlefield 5. It just felt like I was playing around on this island with rocket launchers and helicopters and tanks, and it didn't feel like Battlefield. Whereas Enlisted, oh boy, this game feels really good. So Enlisted, as I say, it's free to play, but don't let that put you off. Okay, and it does have pay-to-play mechanics. You know, you can basically, the way that it works is you have these squads that have soldiers in, and then as you use your soldiers, they level up and you can get different weapons. You know, better weapons, and so what you can do is you can pay for a season pass or a battle pass, I think it is called, so that you level up faster. But don't worry, you can have lots and lots of fun in Enlisted just with the basic weapons and the squads, which you will unlock. You will unlock all the other weapons, but it just takes longer. Because although there's a lot of bolt action rifles in the game, you do get, you know, at least one sniper with a scope, and you get a guy with a submachine gun and a guy with an LMG eventually. As you can see here, lots of the games are set in iconic places. So there's 4 campaigns that you will eventually have access to. So you've got Normandy, so you've got, you know, the invasion here where I'm playing as a German trying to fight off the Americans. There's I think there's a battle for Moscow. There is North Africa, and Berlin, I think, will all eventually be open. And from what I can see, the main differences between the next gen versions and last gen versions is the frame rate is a bit slow. I think this is probably running at like 30 frames a second, and the resolution probably has dropped a little bit. It's a little bit difficult to see things in the distance, but apart from that, it plays very similar and very well. The other really cool thing about Enlisted that I think is that it adds AI teammates. Now you might think, what? And it sounded like a silly idea when it first came out, but what happens is when you spawn in with your squad, you'll have 3 or 4 or 5, depending on the size of your squad, AI teammates that follow you around, and you can give them orders. You can say stay here, you can say spread out a bit, you can say attack this point, attack this tank, and what happens is when you get killed, you swap to one of them, or you can deliberately swap to one of them as you go along. So you have this instant respawn mechanic, if you like. As long as the squad member's alive, and they tend to stay behind you, as long as the squad member's alive, you're straight back into the action, and that makes it very exciting. It also means that the game is incredibly fun to play, because although there may be, you know, 50 players in front of you, or say 40 enemy players in front of you, only 10 of those are real people, and the rest of them are bots. So they can be quite easy to shoot and quite easy to kill, which makes you feel very good. It also means that there's lots and lots of players on the battlefield running around, and you definitely have that feeling that you're in a war, 2 armies smashing in together. Now, this particular game mode that you're seeing here, I think it's called offensive, so I'm not quite sure what it's called, but basically the way it works is it's quite linear. One side is attacking, one side is defending, and they have to capture all of the objectives all the way up into the countryside in the Normandy one in order to win. And for the Germans to win, they've got to stop the enemy until they run out of tickets, so until they run out of soldiers, and then they win. I think in this one, although I don't show you the entire game, we do end up losing, but I have a lot of fun doing so. Other game modes include more like a domination type game mode, where you'll have 3 capture points spread around a particular area, and you've got to kind of capture them, and then you get points for that, and it's the first team to get to a certain point. This is quite fun actually. I think the guy throws my own thing back at me here. I kill him or he kills me, something happens there. But it's fast paced, so you're back in the action. So if you're looking at games like maybe Hell Let Loose, and I've done a comparison video with that, Hell Let Loose is a lot more serious than Enlisted. And this is a lot more fast-paced than Hell Let Loose. Now you can jump into a game of Enlisted, and you're normally done within sort of 20 minutes, where Hell Let Loose can be up to an hour and a half for some of the games. But Enlisted is an awful lot of fun. So a few hints and tips, I'd say. So I've played quite a lot on Xbox Series S, and this is one of my first games on the PlayStation 4. Is do the tutorial at the beginning, so you get used to the movement mechanics. Do bear in mind that this is a little bit janky, this game. The movement isn't as smooth as something like Call of Duty or Battlefield, but you will get used to it. Watch plenty of tutorial videos on YouTube about how to play the game, and I would say always be flanking when you're playing this particular move. So try and get to the edges of the map and then shoot in, because especially on PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones, the players are all new, so they're going to be running straight to the objectives without really thinking about using the edges of the map. So if you use the edges of the map, you can normally get plenty of kills. When you're in close combat with people, often you're better off getting your knife out, which I think is left on your D-pad, than using a gun or a handgun, because you can run around really fast with a knife and stab people. So let's say you run into a building to try and clear a building. A lot of the time you're better off just running in with your knife and just stabbing the enemies as you do so, and you can clear out quite a few. And as you can see in this gameplay here, there's quite a lot of LMGs and things around the map, and if you can get on one of these, they have a limited amount of ammo, you can get an awful lot of kills, and it is an awful lot of fun as well. The vehicles take an awful lot of getting used to, driving them as well, but my quick tip would be watch some YouTube videos, but also when you're in a vehicle, when you're in a tank, basically it's easier to drive when you're the driver, so drive and then switch to the gunner when you want to shoot, then switch to the driver. Don't try and drive when you're the gunner, because it's very difficult. The controls are a little bit odd, unless they've changed them since I last did that. And then once you've played a game, and you'll level up and you'll unlock the different squads, go into the squads and have a look, and see what you've unlocked, because you unlock things a lot of the time, and have a long play around with the inventory system, because there's lots of cool stuff to do, where you can re-equip your soldiers with med kits or ammo pouches, and you're spending points on that. But there's lots of videos out there that show you about that, and you can just enjoy Enlisted just like this, just by spawning in and playing with the base squads. Oh, there are aeroplanes in it as well, but I think Enlisted is very, very good at infantry gunplay. I think the tanks and the aeroplanes take a lot of getting used to, whereas it's with the infantry running around, that this is where the real fun is, where you can really have some very exciting times. I think this has been done by the people who do War Thunder as well, which is a free-to-play all arms game with tanks, aircraft, ships, and all sorts of things. But Enlisted, it's really good. You should definitely check it out. As I say, it's free to play. It definitely gives you those Battlefield vibes. And the difference in the performance of this game, and the way it plays from when I played it several months ago, when it first came out on full access, after it was in early access, is quite astounding. Because originally it was only on next-gen consoles and PC, but they've got it running. Here we go. I'm going around with my knife now. Here they've got it running very well on last-gen consoles, and that should be applauded. And I think lots of people who were probably thinking about getting Battlefield 2042 and were disappointed by the beta, I think you should think about giving Enlisted a go, because it is an awful lot of fun. Anyway, that's enough from me, and I'll see you again soon.